no good news, David. It's only bad news and irrelevant news.
Every cloud.
Nino, 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 sound the alarm, emergency pod, emergency pod. Never has something sounded so lame in all of existence than the words emergency pod. But it needs to be done, it has to be said, because my oh my, you wait forever for a bus to show up and then two come at once. I've been waiting, buy my laptop with bated breath, just for some Formula One news, considering you're doing a whole pod not against. I'm not FIA leafing not against, but about, should I say, Formula One, right? And nothing, So I was like, I'm not gonna force it. Fine, we'll miss a week. I ain't gonna force it and talk about niche, right? So I left it, and then some things came through. McLaren livery. Okay, that's not enough for a whole air, but McLaren livery. Maybe we can go through and rank all the liveries. Oh, that's too hard to find. Okay, never mind. McLaren livery. We'll talk about that at some point. Lando Norris resigns. Charles Leclerc resigns. I'm like, okay, there's a bit of, not controversy, but backlash around the whole Lando Norris one. People are saying he's a pussy. People are saying he's a little mental genius. People have their takes. Okay, there's things to weigh in on. AlphaTauri have their new name. No, I haven't memorized that monologue yet. Maybe one day I will, but it's a whole Shakespeare, bit of script that it's a long name. It's pretty shit. It's just a bunch of sponsors, right? Now there's enough stuff. We'll do that. That was a couple of days ago. And then today, ideally this would happen a week from now, nice spacing, but it's happened now, so I'm here now. Lewis Hamilton, the Mercedes Hamilton, has decided that at the start of 2025, he's feeling red. He's feeling Ferrari. When a kid draws a picture of a car, he colors it red. Ferrari. He's feeling, and I've heard these rumors for a while, and I just never knew if it felt likely. It kind of feels like Red Bull is that team, and the second team to them being Mercedes, being Ferrari. They're both decent teams. Mercedes, you look at, and honestly, actually, I was going to say you look at Ferrari, they have their issues in terms of like the strategy and stuff. From watching last season, from what I can remember, and obviously I'm going to hold, because I want Mercedes to be doing well, I'm going to be more annoyed when they make mistakes and stuff, but it just feels like they've kind of lost their cutting edge. They've kind of lost, they're not amazing with their strategy, I don't think, or how they handle their team dynamic, what they say on the radio to George sometimes. I don't think benefits a team that heavily. They might think it does. I think sometimes the orders, I don't know. It's interesting because he's going into a dynamic where he's not running from a challenge with Mercedes. He's been there. Maybe he doesn't have much faith in the car. I'm not sure, but he's going from a teammate that's George Russell to going to a teammate that's Charles Leclerc, who's been in that Ferrari for a long time and he's been the number one, right? So it's interesting because he's like leaving a situation where he's not comfortable, but he is the number one. I don't know if they say that or not. We don't have number one drivers here, but he is the number one, right? He just smacked George around last season. I think he feels pretty comfortable that he could do that again this season. I'm pretty sure he will do that again this season, right? Maybe not smack him around, but I think he'll have a better season still. Maybe he's bored. Maybe I don't know what went into it. Maybe he just wants to change. Obviously, I think he was at McLaren first, right? I'm a DTS fan. I got into this pretty late. He was at McLaren, right? And then he came to Mercedes and he's kind of been there for a long time and won most of his world championships at Mercedes, right? And maybe he just wants change. Ferrari, like I said, that quote, every kid draws a Ferrari. Maybe it's always been a dream to at least have a season or two in a Ferrari. Maybe now he thinks I got a couple more years left in me before I will stop doing this. So I'll spend those couple years in that Ferrari, fulfilling that. And from a viewer standpoint, yeah, it's going to be interesting going up against Charles Leclerc because it's not going to be Carlos Sainz. And Carlos Sainz, to be fair to him, he's not really done anything wrong. He's probably seen this Hamilton news and went, oh, I guess I've lost my seat then, because it's not going to be Charles. Charles, he just re-signed basically as well, and he's the little king there, so he's not going anywhere. So it's obviously going to be Carlos who gets that Mercedes seat. Okay, now it gets interesting because you move. It's like that game. You move one. There's 9 puzzle pieces in a 5. You move the puzzle pieces and then it creates a space you can move the other piece. You know what I'm trying to say. And it's like you move Hamilton into that Ferrari. Well, there's 3 don't go into 2. So who's leaving? Will be Sainz. Okay. Now there's a free seat at Mercedes. Who takes that? Is it as simple as Carlos Sainz? And this is where it gets interesting. Because if it's not as simple as Carlos Sainz, if Mercedes go, we'd rather have Piastri than Carlos Sainz, then all of a sudden you go, okay, so now Piastri's in the Mercedes, free seat at McLaren. The McLaren go, will take Carlos back. That feels quite likely. I could see a world in where Carlos is back at McLaren, reunited with Lando. Different dynamic now. We've seen them battle before. Sainz beat him in all those seasons, but he was younger. This is a different Lando. He's became the man of the team. Does the young Padawan now defeat the master type thing, like, going up against Carlos again. Piastri is now in a Mercedes. Is this going to be a Mercedes that is nowhere? Like, is that kind of the reason Hamilton's leaving? Is this going to be a Mercedes that's challenging in the top? And all of a sudden you've got Piastri now going from being a driver who's behind Lando, firmly the number two, never getting preferential strategies, now being in a car that's quicker maybe. Because although I know that this McLaren is like very close to the front and it looks like it's progressing well, I don't know if they're ever going to break over that line. And they say it's hard to do that being a customer team, which is what they are. Can they ever really win a title being a customer team? I don't know. I saw that Braun documentary. I watched like an episode of that. And that they won from buying a team for £1 and then, doing all types of shit. So crazier things have happened. And it's probably happened before, to be honest. It's just like not common. I like it, actually. I like it. Red Bull are this like elusive thing in the distance. And, Mercedes, Ferrari, McLaren as well. Those three are like the teams gunning to be there. It's kind of like take your pick in terms of which one you want to be with, who are going to overtake Red Bull. I don't think you can ever expect you're going to be going into some kind of like easy title win unless you're in the Red Bull at the moment. That's how just things look. It looks like if you're not in the Red Bull, between Mercedes and Ferrari and McLaren, it doesn't matter too much. It feels like those teams are close enough where the best driver out of those three teams will be the one who finishes closest to the Red Bull anyway. Maybe he's fallen out of Toto. Maybe he's just kind of bored of the dynamic. It's kind of hard to tell because you have someone like Toto Wolff, right, who steps into these interviews and it's always everything is fine. We love Lewis. It's not right for Lewis. Lewis, it's not fair. Like, Lewis deserves so much more. We're going to give him more. They're putting out apology letters all the time that like very apologetic. They're very like bowed down to Lewis type thing. Don't know if he'll get that at Ferrari. And Lewis will come into interviews a lot of the time, and it's all very cordial. It's all very nice to tease a lot of the time. Sometimes it'll get a bit spicy in there, but it very much seems like things are always going well, and all of a sudden, bang! His like fitness trainer assistant, I can't remember her name, who he was with for like so long. All of a sudden, she's out the door. It's like, okay, that just seemed like it came out of nowhere. Bang! Ferrari. It's just like, you kind of don't know what's happening under the scenes, what's happening inside the mind of Lewis Hamilton when he's unsettled, when he's, restless, bored, wants to move on, not happy with the progress. And to be fair, maybe these few years it's been enough for him to go, no, I'll give it one more season. And if we're not there this season, then, you might as well throw your hat in the ring with Ferrari. And also, if he did win a championship this year with Mercedes, it's unlikely. Then hey, happy days, you go out on a high. If you don't win it and then you go to Ferrari and he jumps on the ship just at the right time as Ferrari are peaking, I've not really seen Ferrari ever really in the conversation to be winning a title as far as I've been watching, which hasn't been that long. So it'd feel like alien for me to see, but that's like a pretty normal thing. Schumacher and like Kimi Räikkönen and all these people like winning all their titles or winning a lot of titles. I'm not sure where all these people won titles. Don't fact check me on shit. I'm just trying to sound like I know shit, right? But like, they're well due to be like finally coming back round again. They've been changing like team principal. They got rid of Binotto. Now they'll be changing the lineup a little bit. I don't know how many different changes are going into the coal. I've seen apparently this car they're trying to make it a lot lighter than last year. Just vague shit you've been hearing like that. I don't know how much any of it really means, but it'll just be interesting to see. Maybe he likes to look at that project more. I don't know. What I wanted to say though was that, maybe you win that 8th with Mercedes, go on a high. Maybe you go to Ferrari, you go there for like 3 years, depending on how well it goes. Maybe 1 year, I don't know, but maybe 1, 2, 3 years, right? And so you happen to break through with Ferrari and you win a title with Ferrari. Then you've won a title with... Did he win a title at McLaren? I should probably know that. I don't think he's won all of his titles um at at Mercedes, right? I think he's won maybe most of them, like 6 of them. But I think he's won one at McLaren. Which, if that is the case, then he's won a title at McLaren. He's won a title at Mercedes, and he's because if you win 8 and they were that spread across 2 teams, that's like good. If you win 8 and they were spread across 3 teams, that's like completely solidifying yourself. And I'm sure in the minds of these people when they're at the top, it's all about like, how do I become the out and out GOAT? Because right now a lot of people, in a similar way how people talk about LeBron, some people say LeBron's the out and out GOAT, some people say he's the statistical GOAT and stuff like that. And I feel like some people say that about Lewis. Some people like Lewis say he's just the GOAT, the greatest ever. And some people say he's the statistical GOAT. He's got the polls and he's got like the wins and shit, and he's like joint on top with the with his world titles and shit, right? World championships, I don't know what they even call them. Is evading me at this moment in time in Formula One. But what I think is that, much like Messi in the very twilight years of his career now, he managed to just about pull ahead and be, it very much seemed like at the end of Messi or Ronaldo's career, it was going to be like still an argument. Like after they retired, people would still argue who's better, Messi or Ronaldo. But just in the end of his career, his last chance winning that World Cup and then winning that final Ballon d'Or, he just like managed to put himself as much of a gap now to make the argument. You can still have the argument after they retire and stuff, but it makes it a lot easier for Messi fans to be like, well, he got the World Cup and he has like 6 or 7 Ballon d'Ors or something, or 8. I don't even know how many he has. Like he has like 2 or 3 more than Ronaldo, though he's got like more golden boots and shit. So like he managed to just in that like final year or 2 of his career just peak ahead. And I feel like maybe Hamilton wants a similar thing, like just to get that 8th and get it across 3 teams. And if he gets an 8th and he got it with Ferrari, it'd be beating out Charles Leclerc, who for that, I think a lot of people would go, over the next 5 years, if Ferrari are to win a title, it's going to be with Charles Leclerc. So for it to finally come and then be with Hamilton, that would be like, damn. Wow, not like it's not obvious that maybe if you put them together, Hamilton would be better. But like, look, you can't underestimate Leclerc. He's like been there. He knows it a while. Not to say Sainz didn't get more points than him this season, right? And hasn't been there as long. But still, we know that Leclerc's unlucky. And I think Leclerc's better than Sainz. But, it would be interesting. It's kind of like with Ricciardo at McLaren. It's like we're waiting for this win. It's been so long at McLaren. And Lando's this big emerging talent. And Sainz is left now. He never came with Sainz, and Ricciardo's coming in up, but Ricciardo's not really doing well in the team, and he keeps performing badly. But the car's really good, and we're going to finally get this win. We know it's going to come at some point, and then the win comes, but it's with Ricciardo. You would have put your money on it probably coming from Lando. So it's like a similar thing could happen here. The young prodigy in the team, the captain of that team, and then all of a sudden this other guy comes through and this maybe manages to grab that, in this case not win, because they've been getting wins still. Well, have they? Well, Sainz was the only win that wasn't Red Bull last season, so that was Ferrari. But I mean, in this sense, it would be a world title or whatever. World championship, a world title sounds like a NFL kind of phrase. I think world championship's the right one. So yeah, that's interesting. That's actually interesting. I feel like so much of the stuff has been like little interview clip. Read into what you want about that. Little livery revealed there. Little like inside team news about the car being lighter or heavier, or the chassis or some shit. The side pods. I feel like this is like news. This is like the first thing. Hamilton being in red. I've seen so many photoshops of it over the last 2 years and just thought that's not happening. I just can't see that. And then it happens, and you're like, damn. And I'm actually excited just because it's different, and just because like I don't see it as, like if you're like a huge Ricciardo fan, and when Ricciardo you hear the news that he's leaving Red Bull to go to Renault, in your head you're trying to like justify it, going, oh, I'm really into Ricciardo and I really want him to win, but he's left Red Bull for Renault. But I'm going to try and back it because maybe Renault's on the up and maybe he's seen something, and maybe there's like, you try and like make sense of it. Whereas I don't feel like Hamilton, like real big Hamilton fans, will have to do that by him leaving. I think a lot of people maybe be happy about it. I think a lot of people don't like, and I think this is maybe a little bit dramatic with how they word it, but like has been treated unfairly, or like has been messed around these past 2 seasons between the treatment of him and the treatment of Russell, which I see a lot on social media. I don't know how much there is behind that. So I think a lot of people maybe be happy by it. But I don't think any people are going to feel the way that Ricciardo fans maybe felt when he left Red Bull for Renault. I don't think it's that kind of move. I think in many ways it's maybe move on to the same level. And if there is something in there which we don't know, maybe it is a step up, maybe it is a slight step down. But I think there is a higher rewards than risk. I think if he goes to Ferrari and Mercedes end up being better, I don't think it'll be by much. You know what I mean? So I don't think he has really much to lose by doing it. And maybe just like the signing of Hamilton is enough to like reinvigorate a team to match standards, which maybe they've not had for a while. Which is I was gonna say a world champion being in that team. Not to say that really helped when Vettel was sitting in that team. They didn't have a great season, and I would hate to watch a season of Lewis Hamilton in a Ferrari that is anywhere close to that season with Vettel in that Ferrari. That would you know that would be very upsetting, but let's try not to think about that. Yeah, I think it's cool. I think it's good. I like to see it, and I like the domino effect it brings with the seeing all the fucking shit that's gonna come with that, with all the moves around that as well. I feel like we've needed this for a while. This is a bit of a resuscitation. This is a bit of a staying alive, a little bit of CPR, whatever. In terms of like driver market teams switching shit up a bit, and I'm here for it. I think I deserve it, and yeah, that was all, man. Hards on pod. I just wanted to cover that one thing basically, and I went into it for a little bit. Don't know. We'll probably have another one next week. Because I feel like now, like I said, domino effect. A lot of news will come following that. This is Hards on. We got Hards on. We're going to the end. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.